A common trick the PTSD plays on us is that it makes us think that if we have complete control over situations in our lives, then we will be kept safe from future trauma. In reality, though, it is rare that we're given full control over outcomes, regardless of how hard we might try to the contrary. As many of you know, I've been in intensive therapy since April for complex PTSD. One of the major lessons that I've been learning is that while I can't control other people's actions or situations I might be in, I can control how I deal with triggers and I can control how I work through things and what I allow to take up mental space. In this text in Isaiah, it's reassuring us and the people of Israel and Judah that regardless of what is going on in the world around us, God is big enough to handle any of the storms that we might go through. Not only is he big enough, but he's there with us. We're not supposed to deal with it by ourselves. In Philippians, it says that we're to bring our petitions to God and let his peace percolate through. If we were to hold these two pieces of scripture as ways to start healing, to work through trauma, to give ourselves space to rest, we would end up being able to see a lot more joy in our lives. One of the things that trauma does is it strips us of being able to feel joy in any large capacity. Part of the healing journey, at least in my experience, is learning to trust God even when things hurt us. Being able to lean on him when things go wrong, even when you don't know what to do next. Being able to do that frees up the mental space and makes it possible to feel joy. The good news is that situations can change. And God is still God. Crappy situations won't stay crappy. And even when we aren't strong enough to withstand the storm, we can lean on the one that is. So, knowing this, knowing that God has sustained us through our lives thus far, and knowing what God has done and continues to do, we can trust that regardless of life situations, we can trust him to handle our pain. And since he can handle our pain, we can then experience hope and joy. Now, joy and happiness are not the same thing. Happiness is situational, mostly external focused. Joy is something that comes from within. Happiness is fleeting, and since it is external and situationally focused, joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit and is thus more sustaining and more sustainable. Now, I just want to add this at the end. Mental illness does not denote lack of faith. PTSD, anxiety, depression, not moral failings. Those things make life more difficult. But with healing and help, it is possible to feel joy again, regardless of life's circumstances. And part of that is learning to trust that higher power and letting the light shine through.